Hey, I want to share something with you. Some of you may know that my mom passed in May and that I've been in this grieving process. And I really did think I was giving myself some space for it, but life is a lot. And I was coming up on the 5th month anniversary date to her passing, and I started having all of these dreams, and it was like her dying again and again, the last moments. And then there was dreams to where both my parents were sitting in a row as I was graduating high school, and I just woke with the realization of like, both my parents are gone. And it's just was hitting me morning after morning, and my husband's going, what is going on? And I'm like, I don't know. And so, he's just really great. So he was like, let's run away for a day. And we did. We dropped our daughter off at 6 a.m. basketball, which is just insane. And we went out into the woods and went hiking and didn't have to be back to pick her up until 5. So we had a really long stretch just to be and play together. And so while we were out in the woods, I went deep into meditation, like what is going on with me? Why am I in such sorrow? Why is this playing out through my dreams? Because my dreamscape is generally a place where I'm learning and I'm understanding, and I don't get a lot of those emotional dreams that just knock you sideways. So I go deep into myself, and what I see is staircases that were kind of going down into this dark pit. And so I'm walking with a guide, and I go all the way down, and I see an aspect of myself sitting there. And I'm like, ooh, okay. And what I realize is that the aspect of myself sitting at the bottom of this pit is me in grief. It's me who's kind of going, I'm an orphan. Yeah, I'm almost a 49-year-old orphan, but there is this energy of feeling like an orphan. And, I'm like, okay. And so my instinct, the shamanic instinct takes over, and I'm like, well, maybe I need to move this piece out. But what Spirit said, because there was stairways just going right up. It would have been very easy to get out of that situation. It wasn't like a pit with no way out. And Spirit said to me, we urge you not to climb out too soon. That it's important to give yourself the space and the grace to go through this. And what they said was, it used to be, if you were deep in mourning, you'd wear black for a year. The whole world knew that something was going on, that you were operating from, I would almost say, a diminished capacity, because grief really does knock you down. It knocks down the immune system. You find you might need to sleep more. There's so many different ways that grief just can be quite crushing. And so they said, in your society today, there's no indicators and there's no slowing down. Think about most 9-to-5 jobs. They give you 3 days, 3 days. And that's just funeral leave. God forbid you have to travel. And you're supposed to be back up on the horse the end of the 3 days, working just as hard, being just as chipper or creative or whatever it is. And none of that is realistic. So what we've done in society is we shove a piece of ourselves down and we just leave it there. So then it has to come out in the way of the unconscious or the subconscious, to where it comes out through dreams or things like that. And I said to Spirit, I said, okay, I can leave this piece here. That's fine. But how do I make it so that I am not feeling bombarded by dreams? And what they said to me was, you need to plan your grief. And I thought, isn't that interesting? Like planning your grief. And they said, on the anniversary of her death per month, take that day, take it. And if you want to go down memory lane and cry, if you want to just watch a movie, if you want, whatever it is, however do you want to celebrate and honor or process your relationship with the person who has passed. And I thought about it and I'm like, yep, that actually works for me. It really does. Because life is busy. And if I say, okay, you know what? On this day, every single month, I'm going to plan something. Maybe I'm going to write my mom a letter. Maybe I'm going to write my dad a letter, because I am grieving both of them. You know, I was 25, 26 when he passed, and I had little ones, and there was no space to be, you know, to really just sink into the grief. And it was that you have 3 days. And I actually, there was one point in time, I had missed so much time while he was in hospice and I was helping out, that I got written up at work. And another supervisor was like, you're writing her up, but her dad died. Like, this wasn't her goofing off. This was her by her family's side, helping with somebody who is at home in the stages of death. But corporate America is corporate America, right? So I immediately was like, shove it back down, have to keep my job, have to keep a roof over my head. So I didn't process my dad's death. And so I feel like I'm actually grieving for both right now. And so I may plan to write my dad a letter, or my mom, or maybe watch a movie that reminds me of them, or maybe I'm going to go through a photo album, but I'm going to plan it, and I'm going to know that that day I'm probably not going to be all here. And I may cry a lot, and I may just be exhausted. Maybe I'll sleep all day. But whatever it is, it's mine. And I'm going to do it every month on that date until. And so, excuse me, I came up out of the meditation, and I told my husband all of it. And he's like, okay, good. He's like, that's what you need to do. You know, and I thought, wow, what an amazing thing. And for so many of us are grieving, and the numbers of people leaving are increasing tremendously. And there may be times to where, you know, if the date falls on a day that you can't give it the attention that it deserves, you can talk to yourself, talk to the you that's in the pit and say, I can't do it on this day, but I can do it this Saturday. And spend time there, because what you're doing is you're taking those steps down to the pit, to the you that's still there. And eventually what's going to happen is you've spent enough time processing, feeling, honoring the situation, that piece will be ready to leave. And it isn't leaving because it has to get on with life. It's leaving because it's ready. And that's the important part. And there's a lot of implications with this, because even with trauma, you can see where, you know, something happens to us and we just shove it down and we leave that piece in the well, or we're dragging that piece up from the well way too soon, saying, get over it. Come on, let's go. And that's not really fair. And it's okay for us to go, you know what? I'm grieving. I'm grieving for the life I didn't have. I'm grieving because I experienced this event. And I'm going to spend some time purposely connecting with the one that is down in the pit. And so think about where in your life you may have left a piece in a pit or pulled a piece out too soon. Because it can always go back down, and you can always walk yourself back down those steps. And at any moment when you're ready, you can walk back up. It's not a race. And I think that so much of our world wants us to get up and get on with it, but we don't really actually do that. We go ahead, but we're fragmented, and we're not healing at the deepest level. So I wanted to share this with you because, one, I know a lot of you are grieving, and two, this is a technique that you might be able to work with. So sending you all lots of love and big hugs.